Woo-hoo-hoo. And we're live once again on another Tuesday, and I got a mini me in the house today. So I've got Ryan Anderson, and we are, our topic today is standing out in the sea of sameness on LinkedIn. And it's so exciting, such an honor to have Ryan in the house today. So before we get stuck in, Ryan, can you just go ahead and tell people who you are and what you do, and then we'll just get stuck in.
Sure. Well, thank you so much, Gillian, for having me. I mean, I realize right now sort of the irony, is it irony or contradiction? We're talking about a sea of sameness, and I actually bought your hair. So,
I love
and
it.
and because this in my mind is, every American clearly wears a tiny pink cowboy hat. I'm
Yes.
Ryan. Thanks again, Gillian. So what I do is, I mean, selfishly, firstly, I'm on LinkedIn for me to have fun, to connect with people, to have it as a place where I can put out the content that I enjoy making. At least, that's kind of the way I've looked at it over time. What I do is I work with people typically on a one-to-one basis to help them clarify what their message is, because sometimes they think they know what they want to say. They've got a rough idea. They might be absolutely clear on it, but still they think, how can I say this in a way that's not going to sound and look like everybody else?
Yes.
And sometimes, quite frankly, as a marketer, I work in marketing. I've been in customer service, then sales, and now marketing. I think we sometimes take for granted as marketers the typical sorts of do's and don'ts and the ways to think and how to lead people in and all the jargon, the CTAs, all this sort of stuff. But there are other people out there who are doing pretty well, like with products and their content and that sort of thing. But they've accidentally got there, and they think, is there anything I'm missing? Can you help me? And I want to stand out. So basically, I'll hop on calls with people, talk through what it is that they want to achieve, come up with a plan for them. Sometimes they're good to go with that. So I offer a free sort of like discovery type call. And then sometimes people might want some regular coaching. So we work that out. And sometimes they actually want some training. Please show me how to do this. I'll produce live streams for them, that sort of thing. And then sometimes they might even say, can you do this for me? So as you well know, if you put content out, often you can train someone. You can say, hey, this is how you do A, B, and C. But they will... they'll say, well, you clearly seem to know. Can you just do it for me? So sometimes I'll do that for people. It's not the first thing I'll do, but because I can edit and all that sort of stuff, I will help people if desperate. But I would say I'm not cheap when it comes to that, because quite frankly, it's not the thing that I want to do all the time.
Got it. Got it. Okay, super. So today we are talking about standing out in the sea of sameness on LinkedIn. And like you said, maybe the word's oxymoron that we both have the same hair. And I absolutely love the hat, because the hat is very Vegas-like, And if Kevin Turner is in the house today, he's probably saying, "Don't mess with Texas," because he's a cowboy Texan. And so, sea of sameness on LinkedIn. I have to tell you, Ryan, it's like the other day I hopped on LinkedIn and I was kind of like scrolling through the feed, and it was just like slider. Everybody was doing sliders or selfies. And it was just like, where's the other content? And then your video just went bing. It was just like, it literally just like lit up. And there you were dancing, you were singing. And I think that that's like, be still my heart. I love your content because it resonates for me. I told you about this earlier today, because it's intelligent. Like, a lot of thought goes into what you do. And I look at it as a video person and I'm just like, oh my gosh, there's 3 of you dancing. My brain can't even figure out how you do that. You've got different colors. You've got characters that come in. You got memes and GIFs. And it's like, whatever people are looking for, you have in your videos, your music videos, your parodies, your marketing music sing-along parodies. All that's missing is the bouncing ball so that we can sing along. And I just have to say, you just come across as absolutely brilliant. And so, you do stand out
Mm.
in the sea of sameness. And I think this is really important that people recognize this on LinkedIn, that it's like, if everyone's doing it, you got to make that shift and do something a little bit different. I don't think a lot of
Mm.
people are going to copy you because you're kind of too hard to copy. But, you know, my gosh. So let's just start with what where did you even come from with this whole musical marketing, and like, where, how did that even get born?
Gosh. Well, I mean, firstly, hello also to everybody in the comments that I'm seeing. I switched to comments here so I can see a lot of familiar names. So it's great to see everyone there. Hair twins. I see that Kevin said. There you go. Well, I'm sure I've had people say to me that, they've said, "Oh, do you know Weird Al Yankovic?" And
Mm,
I think many people would. And I was thinking about this because memory can be a funny thing, and pride, which I hate but I have, can be a funny thing too. And I remember thinking, so probably the first parody I wrote was to Gangster's Paradise by Coolio, and I called it, and this is when I was 16, and I'm 44 now, so it's a little while ago. I called it uh, Bather's Paradise, to do with being clean, because I was a stinky teenager, and every time I got home, my dad would say, "Hi, get in the shower." So, lots of inspiration. So I wrote it, and I can still remember. I still remember the lyrics. But I don't know if I saw Weird Al Yankovic. I don't know if he had if I don't know if he had done his already or not. So again, the pride might say it was me, but I probably saw his and copied it. I'm not sure. That was many years ago. And then going back a couple of years, this might have been kind of during lockdown. I can't remember if it was pre-pandemic or not. I rewrote, used the same tune and just restarted everything, and it's Buyer's Paradise. So if you look on my featured
mm,
section, they tend to be in order of when I did them. And so I started with that one. I thought, I'm having a lot of fun here doing this. I mean, for me, the lyrics come very easily, and we can talk about like how I write if you like. But and I thought, I want to do this. I want to do more of this, but I can't spend 3-4 days on a video like a shoot. Now, anyone who's seen them, especially, you can sort of chart, you can look at the progress that I've made myself in the style, and how I've kind of settled on a style. But it just took too long, and it didn't look great. I mean, something might have been a bit out of focus and all that sort of stuff. I just used my phone camera and all these things. And I just thought, I
wow.
can't take that long. So I just went silent on all of it for probably about 6-9 months. I can't remember. And then I don't know if you know, but well, okay, the Marketing Book Podcast, I've been following that for ages, got in touch with Douglas Burdett, and I said, "Can you give me a list of your favorite songs?" And he pushed back. Why? I was like, "Oh, don't ask." But anyway, I said, "Just give it to me, please. I'm doing something." So he sent me something, and I looked through, and I thought, "No, can't do this, can't do this." And I saw a title, "I Love the Sound of Breaking Glass." I'd never heard of it before. It's a 70s song, but I thought, I love the sound of breaking glass. I love the Marketing Book Podcast. I thought, okay, I hope the song sounds good because the title works. I really enjoyed the tune, and that's how the second one was born. Then again, it's like, this took me far too long, too much blood, sweat, and tears. Then an author called Stu Heineck, I was chatting with him. He wrote books like How to Get a Meeting with Anyone and stuff like that. And he wrote a book called How to Grow Your Business Like a Weed. So immediately I thought, Knowing Me, Knowing You by ABBA. So growing weeds, growing you. So it was like, I just did, and that was the rebirth. And then I've been relatively consistent. I did sort of one season. Then I realized I was pushing myself a lot. It took a lot of effort, took a break. And now I'm just kind of like being a bit more, I'm ready. I've got one, so as it stands right now, I've got about 10 of them written at different stages of production. It's the videos. They are a lot of work, but I do want to get back into it as soon as possible.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So what's your process? So basically, it sounds like you get an idea. It sounds like you run with it. It's like, oh, got these words, reminds me of this song, and then it kind of flows from there. You write the lyrics, so the video comes second. So it's basically write the parody first, make the video. Then when does all the stuff you put in with, the memes, the GIFs, and
Yeah,
is that the
the
icing?
video, I beg your pardon?
Is it the icing on the cake, so to
Yeah, I mean,
speak?
the video absolutely has to serve the lyrics, and it has been, and I would say this to anybody with whatever video content you're doing, if you are trying to have fun, which is something I try to help people do, it's like, let your hair down or put some hair on or whatever it is. Have some fun. We just don't have enough fun with our content, and corporate world, will they ever catch up? Because I think even their fun is fake. But I mean, I'm speaking generally, I'm sure there are some who are doing a great job. But basically with the song, I come at it from both ends in terms of an idea. It's like everything meets in the middle. It's like a happy accident. So I could hear a song, and I'm thinking, I love this tune, but I don't know what to do with it yet. I just love the tune. So recently I did, Katrina and the Waves, Walking on Sunshine, and I called it Stalking Me Online.
That was
And I knew
fabulous.
I wanted to do something. Thank you. I knew I wanted to do something with it. So the first thing is that, what do I do with the title? Because for people who write parody, and I've seen some people even just say, okay, these words are to that tune. But some people don't really do a great job. I'm not trying to sound arrogant, but I just mean, for me, one of the tips I would give anybody, and I'm actually think you're making a very niche / niche inside joke course potentially on how to write parodies, because it is, as I've come to experience, an art form. And one of the things I would say is you have to mirror the original, but not too much. If you go too much, if you use the same lines and all this sort of stuff, you've gone too far. If you do nothing like the original, you've not gone near enough. So I'm writing. I'm in the middle of writing, using Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, doing a rebrand song for an organization for a brand launch they're doing next week, and so there are lyrics in there where it's thinking, okay, if people out there might know the line, but there's a part where he goes, chilling out, maxing, relaxing, all cool, and shooting some b-ball outside of the school. I'm like, how do you say all of that sounding similar but not saying the same words? So it's a balance between sometimes using a word to help people anchor to the original, and then purposely using similar sounds. So for me, it's very much about staying true to something about the original, but being original with your lyrics and your story. And then just as a last example, with Anne Handley's Everybody Writes book.
Oh.
I originally had in mind, I thought REM, Everybody Hurts. Okay. And I listened to it and I thought, oh my goodness, I'm contemplating suicide. It's just so, dang, 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 dang. I thought, no. So, but I thought, what do I do? Because, so I thought about it. So I just went on to, I use a website called, excuse me, karaoke version. So you just get these karaoke tracks, and I just searched for just a word that rhymed with rights, and I just looked through the songs, and I came across a song which I was embarrassed to find out that everybody knew, and I didn't, which was The Weeknd's, and I didn't know how to pronounce it because he doesn't put a vowel in weekend. So is it The Weekend? But basically, it's that Blinding Lights is the song. So, for me, instead of Blinded by the Light, it was Everybody Writes. So for me, it's finding that thing that mirrors, is not too similar. It's a blend, but not too similar. And then the video. So once I've got it down, like what I'm doing for next week's project, because it's not my own, I'm giving it a lot more care and attention. I'm storyboarding it. I'm saying, okay, so at this point, that will happen. that'll happen, that sort of thing. But otherwise, I basically do the audio, sing to the camera 2-3 times, whatever the versions of me are there. The cheat I've recently done, which you'll notice, is actually I just triplicate myself. I don't necessarily change shirts like I used to because it was taking too long as well. So, but either way, I will just record that. And then I look for, I say GIFs. I know actually, apparently it is GIF. The creator said GIF. I can't do it. Sorry. I look for them. And like, I just look through them and think, no, a bit too serious. No, a bit, I need it. So it really is a gut. There's a lot of gut involved in doing that.
Wow.
Yeah, sorry, I could talk about it for ages. So, I'll stop there.
I love it. I love it. And I think that like you kind of like, here's a nugget that anybody can take away, even if you're not going to go and do a musical parody, is that whole idea of doing something that's familiar, but then with a twist. So like your parodies, you're talking about, you've got to keep it similar enough that people go, they're kind of like, most of us can kind of sing a song, but we're like, nah. We don't really remember the lyrics, but we might know a little bit here and there type of thing. So it's kind of like iced tea with lemon. It's the twist. It's something familiar with something a little bit different. And I know like in Las Vegas, one of our big shows, our headline shows here is Cirque du Soleil. And that's a circus theme, but then they upped it by making it elegant, and it's not in a tent, it's in an auditorium, and it's very refined. And so there's something very similar that we all know, comfort level, the circus, but they took it up a notch so that they could charge, $150 for tickets type of thing. So, and I love that it's like, if we're going to stand out, going back to our theme, if we're going to try and stand out, we don't want to do what everybody else is doing because everybody else is doing it. So the thing is find how you can do something, but have fun, put that twist on it that makes it your own. And I loved hearing that you have fun making these videos, because if you didn't, it would be horrid. It would be a chore.
Exactly. And that's why I took a break when I did, because I thought, you know what, I'm going to get burnt out. I'm getting stressed. It's all about, got to post at 1 p.m., which is the time I post purely because of American connections and European and stuff like that. But when it came down to, this is a deadline, I've got to hit it. And it can be very disheartening when you put in many hours of work for one piece of content and it tanks. You just like, you see nothing. And from what I've learned is it is often, I feel like I'm turning pink, maybe because the heat can't escape from the top of my, I'm not gonna take the wig off because my real hair underneath it's awful now. But it's what was I saying? If something doesn't go well, I think for me, if you look at the different ones and how they performed, it helps when someone tagged in it. So John Asperian, he knew it was coming. That helps. I mean, really interestingly, when I took a break and I came back with what I predicted really wrongly was going to be my worst video ever, was the Vanilla Ice one.
The Seth Godin one?
Yeah.
I love that one.
Baby. That one.
I love that one.
For me, that's viral. That is like seriously viral. If I got something that sort of hits 5,000 to 7,000 impressions, and that one was like, I don't know, 20, 30,000. I don't know what it. I mean, the reactions, and now the stuff can be vanity, of course, but for me, it went into, I can't remember if it was 100 something, 200. I don't know. When my normal ones get around, 20 to 50. So it really varies, and it can be very like, wow. And then you put it out there and it feels like it's crickets. And you're like, oh, well, that's because I tagged no one. It's not about any particular book. Like recently I did a rap, which for me, I felt like I wrote this little thing. It was original. I think I had a cold then too. So it's a bit nasal. Like, it's a new day, So anyway, I did that. And it means a lot to me. It's one of the things I'm really proud of, because it was truly original, but it's one of my worst performing pieces because it's not about anyone. It's, So it's a funny thing. It's difficult to detach ego because you really want it
Of
to
course.
do well, you know, and
It's your
sometimes they
baby.
do, sometimes they don't.
It's your baby. You're putting
It
it
is.
out in the world. The one thing that I can say that I thought was extremely classy was that Seth Godin put a comment on your, and it, to me, Seth Godin is like, he's kind of really what you are. Like you're the purple cow that he's talking about, when he talks about,
I dressed up,
yes,
especially.
yes, yes. But I thought that was really awesome that he stopped off and he left a comment. So to me, that would have been, if I had just
Yeah,
got Seth Godin to
and
notice
just
it.
thank you to gosh, I can't. A couple of people. There's an author called Zoe Chance. I did one of her songs, another ABBA one. She early on nudged me months ago when I did hers, like when she found hers, and she said, "Have you done anything for Seth Godin yet?" And I said, "He's on my list." You know, he was like way on my list, but I thought, where do I start with like 15 books or all this sort of stuff?
Right.
So, excuse me, but I did Seth's one. She and I messaged her and she said, I don't actually know him personally, just email him.
Mm.
John Esperian said the same thing. I think somebody else said email him because I can't tag him. I can't tag him on LinkedIn. He's not taggable. So I emailed him, and I woke up the following morning to find that he had said go 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 or something. And so I was like, well, that's
Great.
he took the time. He's
Yep.
huge, isn't he? He doesn't have to take the time. So but I mean, I've got to
That
say,
was
the
nice.
people who really helped this go viral, and I'll use this word. I'm using this word viral loosely again. But the
It's
people who
for
really helped
you,
it,
but that's your definition, and that's great. That's for
sure,
you.
sure.
Yeah.
Anything above like 30 reactions are like, oh my goodness, I've arrived. But basically, it's you guys out there. When you see this thing, you comment and you share it. Obviously, we all know that helps. The algorithm gets to work, but it feeds me. It lets me know that okay, yes, I'm doing this for myself firstly because I want to, but it's content that people want. And I've asked people out there, if I stop doing the videos, guys, if this was just audio, and they've said like, please, do the videos. It's an important part. It's not just because I don't have the best singing voice in the world. I've got an okay voice. I know that.
I think it's
All right. It's
great. I think it's great. It's
no, I mean,
distinct. It's you.
well, it is. I mean, thank you, and that's kind. I know. I mean, like when I listen to some stuff back, I'm like, ooh, ow, But it is, it is what it is, and I think and also with parodies and stuff like that, you don't have to be some vocally trained whatever. And in fact, that's what I would say about the sea of sameness thing. I think what's holding people back, particularly from video, because there are people out there who have never ever seen a video from.
Mm.
For me, video, when I did my first videos in about 2017, 18, back then, hardly anybody, certainly in my circle, 0 people did video. If they did a video, it was like, hi, in their suit, busy background exhibition noise. So basically all you heard was like, and you're like, okay, thanks. And I started just doing little tips and things then, how can your business do this and whatever, and learning along the way. And I found I was getting engagement because nobody was doing it. So in this space that you and I are in, video is not alien to people. Some people are afraid of it. Some people might think you need a whole bunch of tech and microphones and blah, 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 and all this sort of stuff. But what I would just say, if anybody happens to be watching this who doesn't do video, exactly, who doesn't do video or is afraid or perhaps is in an area that, because I know this is mostly marketers and stuff like that, we're a bit of a vacuum. We all kind of, I think sometimes it can be a bit of a vacuum. We all believe the same stuff and all that sort of stuff. But say somebody who does life insurance, or somebody who is I can't even think of some other boring stuff. But anyway, something boring to me. But something that is perceived as boring and just down the middle. But imagine if you jumped on and did a video where you show something funny on the screen, so watch other people, be inspired by what they're doing.
Yep.
Sometimes people outright copy, don't they? People think,
Yes.
oh, Gary V swears like a trooper, so am I. you know.
But if
But I
that's
did a
not
post.
you,
No,
yeah,
exactly. And I did a post yesterday because I was thinking about this. I was listening to something and it reminded me of photocopies and how
mm,
if you copy from a copy, it just gets weaker and weaker and weaker.
gets
So
turned every
yeah, and
time
you're
you
like,
make a copy.
so it's exactly, oh gosh, good old 1990s. So I would just say to people, be inspired by other people, see what you can do, and maybe blend it, mix it with something else, you know. So um, even if it is adding elements to the screen, you
Yep.
know, making light of something. I mean, it's not always. I know some industries are pretty serious. You know, you're talking about life insurance and death and things like that. Maybe
Yeah,
there's
but even those, even nowadays, the insurance companies have really interesting commercials with the Geico gecko, and you've got the mayhem guy who is always like getting hit by cars and stuff like that. So
right.
even they have said we have to think outside the box and do and change it up a little bit. But if we all did geckos, that would be boring. So you have to,
Mm,
we can't all have a purple cow like Seth Godin. We have to have, I don't know, a red pig. You just have to think about doing stuff. And I know I just recently started reading this book. Oh, I can't pull it up. And it was called About Being Different in Marketing. It was a great book, and I'll put it in the show notes later. And he talks about don't copy your competitors, look to other industries and see what they're
exactly.
doing, and then take that twist, so
Well,
it's definitely.
exactly. So I mean, if if for example, you're a charity and your whole thing is, you're raising money for water for somewhere, that sort of thing. Well, what can you learn from the commercial world? What can you learn from the
Yeah.
entertainment world? How are they doing something? Because what I found, and I have experience working in the charity sector, the nonprofit sector, is because it's so serious. Often it's not, there's not really space for humor.
Mm.
I remember as a social media manager in a charity coming up with something where I saw a photo and I immediately thought of some funny caption, the way this one woman was looking at another woman's piece of cake. And I was kind of like, are you going to eat that sort of thing? And I was told, no, we can't do that. We can't do that.
Oh,
And I thought, it's easier to just do something. And is it don't ask permission? It's easier to ask for forgiveness type thing. And I just think that some people don't
absolutely.
take risks. Take some risks if and do something 2 or 3 times as well, because
Yes.
when you do it that first time and it tanks, and it may well feel like it's going to go, it's just going to flop. Okay, but you can't compare one thing with itself. You've got to do 2, 3,
Experiment.
4, and then you realize, oh, okay, this actually has got legs. So you need to
Exactly.
stick at it. It's just difficult when you put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into the thing, because some people do give up too soon and they could be onto something.
That's true. So let's pop over and look at some of our comments. Okay, so view from the front row. We got Jeff Young in the house today. He says the view is great. Gillian and Ryan ready to look, listen, and learn. Namaste. Thanks, Jeff. We've got Susie Brown from Scotland. Bring it on. I love that. I love that attitude. Bring it on. Love the cowboy hat. Oh, look, we even got little cowboy emojis coming up here.
Hey
We got
guys.
good
Yeah.
stuff, Carl. I bought your hair. I love it. I love it. Yeah, yeah. Just a little late. We got Tristan in the house today. 2 of my favorite human beings right here. Love you, Gillian and Ryan. P.S. Metal. Ryan
Yeah,
knows.
yeah, yeah. See, John wants me to do a song by Tenacious D, which I never heard before. So I checked it out yesterday. I was like, well, that'll stretch me. So we'll see. It'll stretch me or break me. We'll see.
I just had an idea that we should auction you off. Like you should have like book Ryan, but it should be an auction. And it's like, and then we'd get to like, we'd have to pay. And then, you do our like theme song or something like that. And I just have to say, I absolutely love the one that you did for John Asperian. And if anybody hasn't seen it, I did already put that link in the comments. Don't go watch it yet, but go watch it later. And I think that that was another really great example of every single detail, the shiny, like little glint on the teeth. And, you got Miss Poppington popping in, Poppy the dog in there. So that was just, really showed your intellect and your admiration for John Asperian. We got
Yeah.
Craig. Sorry, I'm a little late, but I'm here. Another Scotsman in the house. I love all these people across the pond, although they're closer to you. Another chap in a hat. I love chaps in the hat. We've got Tina coming in from Belgium. I know Tina is a big fan of yours. She's a big fan of yours.
Yeah, she and I have been chatting, and she's lovely. She really is very encouraging, and she's a recent connection. And although I've seen her name for ages and engaged in the comments, because Tina with two eyes, so it's not easy.
It's different. It's different. And again, it's familiar and different. And I love what she does, because she does these little sketch notes, which again, in the sea of sameness, if you're scrolling through the news feed and you see this cute little sketch note, you're going to go, and you're going to stop. So Tina, we want to see more sketch notes, hair twins. Kevin's telling us not to mess with Texas. He's the hair twins. I love it. He was the one doing all the little Sound of Music. Thanks for us in the comment. The UK is in the house. Greetings, my peeps. Greetings, my peeps. So we've hit our 30 minutes, Ryan. So I try to kind of keep my show tidy and to the 30-minute mark. Everybody, you must go follow this guy. Go check out his parodies. Go on his featured section. They're all there. Go through. I'd love if you'd come back and tell us which one's your favorite, because that would actually be good for me to know and good for Ryan to know, to get that kind of feedback. And then, of course, comment on the original post as well. So any sort of closing words you'd like to leave us with today, Ryan?
Wow. Well, I did think about this in advance because I anticipated the question. And look, it's going to sound super cheesy and normal, and everyone knows this. When I say be yourself, I think one of the things is that, and this is something I've struggled with in my personal life, in office environments and everything, is that I bring myself to my work, to whatever it is, and sometimes I feel like myself is not welcome. Actually, no, we don't do that here. We don't say that here. We don't joke. We don't do anything like that. And I think that, okay, but you know what? Now that's fine, because you're in a physical place, you got a job, you got to respect whatever. But online, with potentially millions of people, it's okay to, and we should, repel the people who are not right for us. So be yourself, whatever that is, whether it's video, written content, or something. I mean, I would challenge you to try different kinds of content that you're not comfortable with, because we dictate to the algorithm. Sorry, I know we're trying to be tight, but just a quick thought here, because I've been thinking about this recently. The algorithm, we've had this recent report by, is it Richard Vanderblom or something? But this stuff that basically says, okay, this content works, blah, blah, blah. It works because people do it, right? People did it. The algorithm kind of says, this is what works, and it feeds. So you're like feeding the beast, as it were. If everybody started doing video, what's the algorithm going to do? If it has to adjust for the content that people are making. So I would just say to people, and I don't care if this is not following the rules, but I would just say, if you want to create content that maybe you've not seen much of out there and you don't know if it's going to work or not, go for it. Give it time, because you just don't know. Algorithms need to catch up. Somebody might see something, see who you can actually partner with, maybe, to get your content out there in some way. But just whatever you do, be yourself. Do not be a copy, and especially not a copy of a copy.
I love that. I love that, because every time you make a copy, it just goes on the angle, and soon nobody can read it. So that's a great visual. That's a great visual. I love it. Thank you.
Cool.
Well, thank you so much for being here today, Ryan. This was fabulous. I'm so excited that I got to finally meet you, and that we learned. There's so much more I would love to do. I could keep you here for 3 hours today. There's just so much. But anyways, thank you very much for being on the show. And everybody, we'll see you next week, where I'll have another wonderful guest, a repeat guest, back on the show again. And we'll see you all next week. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Thank you, everybody. Bye.